So thank you again for joining me on this channel, Yahography. My name is James Yahambaram, and this is part 2 of my creative grind journey. And hopefully that this story can, bring some perspective, some guidance, and also new ideas in your creative journey. So, make sure you check out the first part of this 2-part series video. And I'm going to continue basically from where I stopped the last time. So I think for the most part, the last time I talked about some of the elements that I acquired, or some of the skill sets that I kind of grew at my ex-company, Propeller USA. And as I mentioned in the last, the first part is that, that's kind of where I grew as a creator and basically gained a lot of experience in terms of being a director, a producer, growing teams, basically training the new recruits, learning about the operational side of the business as well, kind of setting me up for the next, I guess, part of my creative grind. Again, I'm trying to break everything from a nutshell, from a long history since I was in high school, and this was back in early 90s, not early 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, and then talking about my journey from there to Minnesota to Hawaii, and starting the creative journey on the I guess the professional career in Hawaii. So my time at Propeller USA came to a close, but before it did come to a close, this was during the 2020 March, when the whole world came to a shutdown, basically, right? And if you watch the previous video, which I'm gonna link it up right over here, I don't know which side, but one of the sides. Primarily, Propeller USA was I would say 80% Japanese wedding company, and 20% of it was primarily, did I just knock my mic? Primarily, non-wedding related stuff, right? And based on that, I guess when the pandemic hit, it obviously decimated the tourism market here in Hawaii, and because of that, shutting down of basically the whole world halted a lot of businesses, tourism, and obviously because of that, it kind of shattered the Japanese wedding industry here in Hawaii. It's still, this is 2025, and it's still, it's not as it was before, back, pre-pandemic. But the fact that, when one door closes, other doors open. So at the time, it was the strategic move on the management side, and I was part of the management side on Propeller USA, is that we need to convert that 20% of the non-wedding environment, or the non-wedding work, into a more full-time 100%, right? So we did several pivots. We did, reaching out to companies to create free content, and that's where the whole networking aspect came into play, from all these years of learning how to network. And through that method, I was able personally to connect with different people, calling up old clients, old relationships, and kind of seeing what new opportunities that would help them as well as help us. So trying to find that common ground between the two, and because it was hard times basically for most businesses. So from there, it grew into coming up with different types of membership plans to kind of create content for a lot of businesses that were not part of the social media world, and creating their digital footprint out there. Because as we all learn to understand that during the pandemic, especially, a lot of businesses that were not in the social space were really hurting because they didn't have any way to communicate to their um, basically their reoccurring customers. So when we were uh, trying to find different ways to expand um, the portfolio of Propel USA, because there was no weddings, we were reaching out to different companies, businesses, to kind of see if we can make relationships. And so we did. We reached out to several businesses. We had some form of success in terms of getting companies to create content for, in return paying us for our service. But then the one thing that we recognized early on is that the whole live streaming aspect. So I remember watching, I think it was on Twitch, and Twitch exploded exponentially, I think, during the pandemic. And because everything was on the social media space. Everybody was on their phones. Everybody was at home. They were literally locked up at home, and watching everything out of either their phones or on the TV. And so the need of going live was a big deal. And so we also even saw a need in terms of the local musicians here in Hawaii. Like, they were going live as well on Instagram, and being a TV background and having team members that also had TV backgrounds, we did some experiments on how can we turn our expertise into a live production in a small office space. So, and that's what we did. We created Propeller Live on Set. We had basically a very similar production style in comparison to a TV broadcast station. We created a flow from the sales force of reaching out, finding sponsors, to social media reach, to creating one sheet pamphlets for making pitches. We even created partners with like Hawaii Theater to use their venue to kind of conduct the I guess online concert, so to speak. And then we also internally worked on perfecting the workflow of from planning. Every week we had an artist, so planning what we're gonna do, how we're gonna shoot it, who's gonna direct, who's gonna be the shooters, who's gonna run the the logistics in terms of like RMTP streams, making sure that everything was in place. And that only could happen with one team that was cohesive, who worked well together. It also was because of knowledge of each individual that had possessed. And I had the fortunate privilege in working with all of them and kind of help create this something out of nothing, basically, right? It started as just having we did even make our own talk show, and then from there it evolved through collective ideas to evolve to a live concert. And this was published on all social media, on the artist social media. So if, let's say, if an artist has 10,000 followers, then we'll say, hey, we'll conduct your concert at our office, your performance at our office. In return, can you help, not help, but basically let's get all the access to your social networks, and then we'll just live stream directly to your network. And in return, we got live stream through our network. And then it was just basically influencer marketing on steroids, literally. And through that, and word of mouth, it kind of grew and spread little by little. And but it wasn't sustainable to the point where the corporate office had to basically shut down pretty much like downsize entire operations because one, it wasn't obviously making enough money to sustain a business, right? So things were downsized, and I gave in my resignation letter because I actually had thought of diversifying through opening my own business, and as well I also had a not opening, but more like had an opportunity with an R&D company to create content for them. So in tandem with also running my company and creating content for this R&D company, I thought that was the next big for me per se. So with, obviously that wasn't, in terms of cash flow, it wasn't making the company enough money. So our corporate company in Japan had to like kind of downsize Propel USA, and then hence where, how my company came about. So, having the knowledge of, what things were going to come during the downsizing of the company, I decided to, one, set up my own company and kind of pull clients that I knew well, and that I have not only just a business relationship, but also, we could speak on a friend level per se. So I established a network of clients that I could, run with my company as well. And then I also had an opportunity, and still I'm part of this company that is basically in research and development, and creating content for research and development was something new for me. Like I was used to commercials and weddings and brand content, and I was debating like, should I just go full on work for my company that I established full time? But when this opportunity came about with the R&D company, I decided to, what if I could do both, right? And that was for two reasons. One, the main reason is that I've never done R&D type of content, right? So R&D meaning research and development, I've never done those types of content. And I thought it would be a good opportunity to do that. The other reason why I wanted to do both, still do things with my company that I established and the R&D company, was because I didn't want to lose both. I didn't want to give up one or the other, because being in Hawaii for so long, you develop certain relationships with different people, and it's really hard to just say, hey, I'm gonna just do R&D, work with this R&D company, and I'm not gonna even I'm just gonna forgo everything that we have done for the past decade. So that was really hard. I couldn't not do that. So part of, before I even joined, also OceanAid is the R&D company. So before I joined OceanAid, I asked, would it be possible to do both? Like, there's no conflict of interest, because most of my clients are either local business here, or it's I have contracts with different wedding vendors. So they agreed, and that's how at this moment in time I'm doing both. And thankfully I found a balance in balancing both. And thankfully the team that I had at Propel USA, some of them, I do contract with them to either film for me, and I will edit the project. So yeah, that has been, one of the biggest transitions out of the pandemic for me and for my family, to actually do my company full time, and as well as create a new type of content in the R&D space. So for me personally, that was like a growth in terms of, creativity, because some of the things that obviously I can discuss it on my YouTube channel, is that some of the things that they asked me to create is really outside of the box. It kind of stretches my creativity to a different level. Please go and check out some of the work that I've been doing at Oceanet on, obviously I'll link down in the description below. I'll even put up a link on this video. You can go check them out. Some of the content that I've created there is just different. It's beyond what norm is in the world of content creation. It's very different. It's more in the realm of what could be, right? So, and that has given me room to grow in terms of how I film weddings, how I shoot brand commercials, how I can turn a really hard idea into something that is digestible for someone that is not an engineer, not a scientist, that someone that is, just consuming content that would be easily consumable. So that was the push that, creating food content is easy. I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's pretty straightforward. It's creating content that would capture the person in an emotional way, or the viewer in an emotional way, to go and get the particular food or brand or whatever. But R&D content is different in the sense where these are ideas that are never thought of or unthinkable, and you're digesting it in a way where it's non-technical but easily consumable. So so that was, that has been my journey thus far. Where do I see it go next? I think for me personally, and obviously, I'm trying to grow my company at a pace that I can keep up with, and at a pace that allows me to spend time with my family. What about the R&D company? I think I still would like to continue to create more work and trying to create different types of content that would kind of stretch my creativity. And I think at this point, that is where I'm at. I'm at a level that I can grow my company as well as grow my creativity. So I think thankfully I found the right balance to do both. And, I want to continue until I see the next, I guess, turn of events, right? Hopefully there's no pandemic again. What I learned from the pandemic is that, don't keep your eggs in one basket, right? Like, you cannot just solely rely on the tourism market. You cannot just solely rely on just a B2B or business to business type of flow, or B2C, business to consumer. I think you need to, if you're going to be in this creative space, I think it would be good to diversify your portfolio, just like in investing too. Like, I think it's important to do that and not just create one form of stream. You try to have multiple streams of income, and that way you can kind of create, or so make sure you have different forms of cash flow, if you're going to try to make this your career, your career that pays the bills, or career that pays the bills that you want to retire from, right? Like, if you're going to make that as part of your future, I think not just relying on the weddings or the tourism industry or B2B or B2C, like, you have to have a well put together portfolio, so that in an event that another pandemic happens or something happens to one aspect of the industry, you will have, I guess, enough of a cash flow to kind of sustain you and to still keep doing what you makes you happy. And if this types of career makes you happy, then you got to protect it, right? You got to protect yourself so that you can keep on creating. So yeah, I think in a nutshell, that has been my, I guess, story thus far. This YouTube thing is something new. I mean, I do not know where this is gonna take me, to be honest. As long as I can, keep being creative and keep doing what I love doing, and at the same time, raise my 2 kids and make sure that my family is good, in a good place, then that to me is a success, right? Success, I think personally, is up to the person. How do you define your own success? Is if you being a creator is making millions, that's your definition of a success, then great. For me, again, it's making sure my 2 kids are taken care of, that I can provide a future for them, that my whole family, my wife, everybody's good, and make sure that my family is in a good place with while I'm actually still being a creator and still making videos and films and brand content. As long as I can keep still doing that, then that would be a success for me. So obviously this job has some physicality to it, so I know at some point in time, when I'm already turning gray, I don't know if you can tell. So if there's going to be a point in time where physically I'm not able to shoot and run the way I used to, but I can definitely see myself, still working on edits or working on projects on my laptop or my whatever Apple is creating in the future. So yeah, and I think at some point that would be my future if I still have the drive to be a part of making videos. Then I can see my old self doing that. Again, this is just a prediction, right? I'm not sure if that's going to be a reality. But anyways, that is my creative journey thus far. I don't know what's going to happen next. All I know is that I will be fully keen and aware of what the nature of the business will change depending on what happens to whether it's technology, whether it's political influence, whether it's there's so many different aspects that could change the industry. And as long as I have a keen awareness and have the drive to have the keen awareness of what's happening, I'll be able to move in the path that I want to move based on what's happening surrounding myself. So yeah, thank you for listening. If this helps, and if you haven't done it, please click to subscribe, hit the bell, leave some comments, maybe share me your creative journey and what are the similarities that you have in that you share with my story. Every story is unique, and I would love to hear some stories from either one of you, any one of you. So yeah, please comment down below. And more to come. Please comment, subscribe, do all that, like button. And if you keep making more of that, if you keep doing more of that, then I will keep producing more of these. So thank you again for watching, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.